Okay, great. Thank you. So welcome everybody to the Maternity Action AGM 2024. It's great to have so many people join us, and welcome to the board as well, and staff and any of our supporters and stakeholders. As you will have just heard, the meeting is being recorded, and as Jude said as well, you should be able to see speakers. If you've got any questions or comments, please do post them in the chat, and we'll be keeping an eye on them and take them at various points during the agenda. Just to kick off, we've received apologies from Alice Webb and Janet Hankin. And just to explain, where we've got a few items on the agenda where there'll need to be a vote, voting on formal items of business is restricted to full members. So that is the Maternity Action Board of Trustees who will be participating in the votes. So I think that's all the housekeeping for now. So we'll move on to the first formal item, which is the minutes of the AGM 2023. So can I please ask one of our trustees who attended the 2023 AGM to propose the minutes for approval, and if another board member can second them. I think I saw Chloe and Aisha and Nicole, brilliant. So they have been proposed and seconded, fantastic. Again, if there's any questions or anything, please do pop them in the chat for other attendees. We're now going to move on to the annual report and accounts for the year ending 31st of January 2024. So I'd like to invite Chloe to give us a short Treasurer's report.
Thanks, Nikki. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So the 2023 to 2024 year was another successful year for Maternity Action. The full year accounts ending in January 2024 show that income was just over £1,037,842, which was approximately 22% higher than in 2023, which was around £850,000. This growth has continued to enable us to provide advice and casework services underpinned and supported by our policy and campaigns and operations teams. The bulk of our income continues to come from trusts and foundations, with a small proportion commissioned and self-generated. Expenditure for the year was slightly higher than income at £1,047,417. The bulk, about 80% of the costs, are related to staffing of our brilliant advice, casework, policy, and operations teams. At the end of the year, our reserves were £545,082. Of this, £149,699 were restricted, and £395 and £383 were unrestricted. We aim to maintain 3 to 6 months operating costs in unrestricted reserves. So another successful year, and thank you everyone for all your hard work. Pass back to Nikki.
Great, thank you so much, Chloe. And again, I think the board would just like to really echo what fantastic work the team at Maternity Action have done, and we'll talk about that a bit more later in the agenda. But again, a really fantastic year, and really big thanks to the fundraising team and everyone at Maternity Action. If there are any questions or comments on the accounts, please do pop them in the chat, and we can take them. I'll just give people a few seconds to pop anything in the chat. I can't see that anything's coming through, but if it does, we'll let you know. So before we move on to the next item, I just need to ask one of our trustees to propose a motion to adopt the annual report and accounts, and if one of our other trustees could then second this, that would be great. So proposer Nicole, fantastic, and Aisha to second, brilliant, thank you. So they are adopted. Great stuff. So moving on to the next item of business, we've got the appointment of the auditors. If I can ask one of our trustees to propose the appointment of the auditors Jackson Nicholas Assey Limited as our auditors, and again, if I can have another trustee to second that. So Chloe, I can see you're proposing, and Aisha, great, seconding. So our auditors are formally appointed. Brilliant. So now we're just going to move on to the appointment of directors, which for me is the most confusing bit of the agenda. So I'm going to try and explain this as well as I can. So in our as required by our articles, some of our trustees who have been on the board for a while are retiring from the board and will seek reappointment in this meeting. So Aisha Moshin, Chloe Timms and Alice Webb are retiring from the board but seeking reappointment. So if I could ask from our other trustees to propose and second the reappointment of each of the following board members in turn. So I will go through everybody. So first, if we can seek someone to propose and second the reappointment of Aisha. Great, that's fantastic. So I can see Nicole and Emma have done that. Fantastic. And then Chloe. Great, I can see Nicole, Lois and Emma doing that. Fantastic. And then Alice. And again, brilliant, Nicole and Lois, thank you for that. So welcome back to the board, the brief seconds that you had stepped down. And next on to our next three trustees who we've been really lucky to have Lois Davies, Sabiz Malik and Emma Purper join the board this year since our last AGM. Fantastic new members who have already made some really wonderful contributions to the board. They too need to retire from the board and then seek reappointment. So if in turn I can take other members of the board to propose and support Lois Davies in her reappointment to the board. Great, thank you, Aisha and Chloe. And then also Sabiz. Great, fantastic. And then Emma. Great, fantastic. Okay, that was more straightforward than I thought it was going to be. Brilliant. Phew. Fantastic. So again, thank you for helping us with that process. And again, thank you to all the board members. It's always a pleasure working with you and you putting up with my chairing. So fantastic. We're going to move on to the next item, which is the chair's report, which I'm going to give. And just to say again, I think this short report, and we've got a film towards the end of the meeting, captures some of the amazing work that Maternity Action does. But I just think, again, I'm always completely blown away, as I know the rest of the board are, with all of the work that the staff team do and the reach that they have. And it's really humbling to be part of this organisation. So I'm going to take you through just some of the things that the team have achieved this year. So the period that the statutory accounts cover is from the 1st of February 2023 to the 31st of January 2024. It was a really busy one for Maternity Action. Some of what we've achieved during this time I'm going to talk through, and then also a little bit about our future plans as well. For those of you on the call, you can find more detail in the trustees report that's contained in the statutory accounts. And just to say that these will be filed with Companies House and the charity commissions and published on our website following this meeting. So it'll be all there for everybody. So between February 2023 and January 2024, our information sheets on maternity rights at work, maternity benefits, breastfeeding rights and entitlements of migrant, asylum seeker and refugee women to housing, income and healthcare were viewed over 2 million times. We answered over 3,000 calls and emails about maternity pay and benefits and employment problems. We concluded 172 employment and benefit cases in which we had provided intensive casework support to individual women, recouping over £1 million in unpaid wages, maternity pay, and settlement agreements, which is incredible. We are proud to prioritise our most intensive support for low income earners. In 2023, 52% of the individuals that we provided benefits and employment casework support to earned less than £30,000 a year. And I just don't think we can understate how important that £1 million to those people will have made, the difference it will have made. We trained 119 law firm volunteers from our 4 partner law firms to deliver our employment and benefits email advice service, bringing the total number of volunteers registered to support this service to 340, and a huge thank you to all of them for their work as well. We responded to 496 requests for advice on NHS charging of migrant women and provided intensive casework support to a further 85 women, securing cancellations or write-offs of over £345,000 in NHS charges. And again, I just don't think you can understate the impact of that. We delivered an NHS charging conference exploring the disproportionate and discriminatory impact of NHS charges on women. We've provided training and second tier advice to 227 midwives and community workers on the rights of migrant asylum seeking women to housing, income and healthcare. Really important service. We launched a second maternity health justice partnership in Greater Manchester and East Cheshire, which embeds legal advice on maternity rights at work and maternity pay and benefits issues within local healthcare services. We are also pleased and proud that we've adopted our lived experience strategy in 2023, which aims to strengthen the voice and influence of pregnant women and new parents in our organisation, particularly those with lived experience of low income and inequality. And they've contributed to some really fantastic reports this year. We pride ourselves at Maternity Action on the high quality of the advice we provide, and the impact of our support is significant and far-reaching. This is reflected in the responses to the feedback surveys we send out to the people who have accessed our advice services. In 2023, 96% of respondents reported increased awareness of their rights. 93% reported feeling more confident to deal with the issue that they were facing, and 97% reported feeling less stressed as a result of the advice they received. And we are delighted that 100% of respondents said they would recommend us to family and friends. So again, a huge thank you to the team in delivering those services. Much of our research and policy and campaigning work in 2023 was focused on the impact of the cost of living crisis on pregnant women and new mothers. Our second annual cost of living on maternity leave survey demonstrated the increasingly detrimental financial impact of the cost of living crisis on women who are taking the period of maternity leave when compared to the findings in our 2022 survey. Women were more worried about money and they were borrowing more money, and they were also returning to work earlier and continuing to struggle to afford basic essentials. We produced a detailed review of the academic literature on the impact of poverty and economic stress on maternal health, relationships, and gender equality. And we published our report, A Perfect Storm, which examined the impact of low income during pregnancy, maternity, and return to work, including on health inequalities, family relationships, poverty, and gender equality. This was guided by our lived experience panel, made up of women with recent experience of maternity and economic stress. The report made a series of recommendations for change about eligibility for and rates of maternity pay and benefits, and the need for changes to employment law to better protect pregnant women. Some other things, we also provided oral and written evidence to the Women and Equalities Select Committee inquiry into inequalities and the UK asylum process. We successfully influenced the government to release the very long overdue evaluation of shared parental leave, which commenced in 2018. And they finally did publish it. And we worked with the Royal College of Midwives and the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists on an update to our guidance for NHS trusts on improving access to maternity care of the women affected by charging. Also in 2023, we were delighted to work in partnership with Yes Law, Greater Manchester Law Centre, the Employment Lawyers Association and Mumsnet, and to have trained and collaborated with a range of other small frontline charities and unions. As always, we would not have been able to achieve what we have without the hard work, commitment, and dedication of our outstanding staff team and our incredible volunteers and pro bono partners who generously give their time to Maternity Action for free. On behalf of the trustees, I would really like to thank you all, and I'd also really like to thank our lived experience panel members who do ensure that the voices of our beneficiaries are at the heart of everything that we do. And again, it is such a huge, it's humbling and it's a privilege to be part of this organisation and to see all of the work that you do every day. And of course, none of what we have achieved would have been possible without the generous support of our funders. And I'd like to say a huge thank you to the trusts and foundations, individual givers and corporate donors who fund our work. Again, I hope you can see just how important it is that Maternity Action exists and delivers for women and families who need us. Since the end of the last financial year, we have said goodbye to our founding director, Ros Bragg, which was a huge change for all of us. And again, we'd just like to note formally our thanks to Ros for just everything she's done over the last 15 years for this organisation and for the sector more broadly. We were delighted to welcome Ali Fidi as our new director. Who's already made a fantastic impact to Maternity Action and to the team. In this final year of our current strategy, our policy work will continue to focus on tackling health inequalities, alleviating the impact of the cost of living crisis on pregnant women and new parents, and working with MPs, civil servants, and other organisations to influence the government's recently published Employment Rights Bill. Some of the things we are also planning to do are to explore how we might be able to better meet demand for our advice services and ensure that we are providing support to pregnant women and new parents in the ways that best meet their needs. Refreshing our website with a view to making it more accessible and easier to navigate. Expanding our health justice partnership programme with the launch of a third health justice partnership supporting asylum seeking women in Greater Manchester and East Cheshire, and considering ways to diversify our income streams to ensure the work that we do is sustainable in the long term. So that is just a flavour of the excellent work that the team have delivered, and again a huge thank you on behalf of the board for all of that work. If anyone does have any questions, please do pop them in the chat. I can't see any at the moment, but I'm sure everybody who can't appear on screen is giving everyone a real round of applause and giving each other a pat on the back, because I know we've got a lot of staff on the call today. I think now we can move on to any other business. So I don't know if there is any other business. Again, either raise your hand if you're visible on screen, or do pop in the chat. Can't see any. And again, if there are any questions or comments from any of the trustees or attendees, please do pop them in the chat. Can't
Just
see
a quick
any.
thank you to you, Nikki, as well, for another great year of chairing. Thanks for everything as well.
Thank you. So you'll have to put up with my waffly chairing, but I hope it's entertaining at the very least. Thank you so much. So I think if there aren't any questions or comments, we're going to close the meeting by showing you our 15th anniversary film. So this was developed to celebrate our 15-year anniversary in May, which I know many of you will have attended, where we said goodbye to Ros as well and welcomed Ali to the team. Again, it's just a really powerful film that just captures, just how important this organisation is and how important a role it plays in delivering for women and families. So I hope you enjoy the film. Thank you everybody for attending. And as we said, all of the documents will be available on our website and such in due course. So please do check them out. But yes, thank you very much. Great, thank you so much for showing that video. And I'll draw this meeting to a close.